Rina Shah is a Republican strategist, and she joins me now live from Washington. Rina, it is good to see you again. So here we have another example of Donald Trump saying something controversial and quite dangerous, and then a few weeks later seeing Republicans sort of fall in line here. And these are Republicans who were once upon a time fellow colleagues of Liz Cheney. Let me give you more specifics on what they are saying should be investigated. This is the House Administration Subcommittee on Oversight, and they said she should be investigated for witness tampering, accusing her of colluding with Cassidy Hutchinson, the former White House aide who became the committee's star witness during the January 6th committee hearings. What do you make of this? And then the subsequent tweet or post at 3:30 this morning from Donald Trump saying that he believes that she may actually face a lot of trouble in the days ahead.
President-elect Trump could not be more ill-advised in this moment. Going after former Congresswoman Liz Cheney isn't just a move that doubles down on what I call stupid. It is one that frankly has no logic behind it and can't in the follow-up, because there is no crime that has been committed here. He is going after this former Congresswoman not only because of her last name. The Cheney last name signals an old Republican Party, an establishment Republican Party that we all know that Trump wants to show that he has blown up and remade entirely in his image. But going a step further, the fact that Cheney became so notable in her going after Trump in that January 6th Select Committee is really the only thing here that he continues to gripe over. And whether that investigation was conducted properly or improperly isn't of, I believe, material value to anything moving forward that his administration could do. So if I were advising the president-elect, which I'm not, I would just say, let this one go.
Is that basically all we can hope for, though, that the president-elect will let this one go? And I ask because in the sort of now years of covering Donald Trump, it doesn't appear that we've quite figured out how to cover him best. And that is whether to take him seriously and not literally, or literally and not seriously. And it seems that Republicans in Congress find themselves in the same conundrum. So what do you make of the current dynamics and the kind of behavior we can expect in a second Trump administration?
Well, on the one hand, Bianna, I have seen the president-elect behave differently than the Trump we have known. In some ways, he's almost settled into a version of himself that wants to carve out this legacy that not just delivers blows to the Democrats, kind of pushing back on everything they've done in the past 4 years, saying that you were no longer wanted by the American people, and now you are getting kicked out after he was kicked out in 2020, right? But what I think is really fully on display here is party loyalty. This Republican Party functions as one that is fully is not adaptable, but is fully remade in an image of authoritarianism. And what that means is that we start to see what could be constitutional norms torn down. A select committee such as the January 6th one in Congress was stood up not just to take aim at Trump. In fact, it was stood up to show the American people the facts of January 6, 2021, to reveal those, much like the 9/11 Commission did. And so what I want to say here is that when you see what's illustrated in some of Trump's picks, such as Kash Patel for FBI, you see two sides of him. And that is who he continues to be. Reasonable one day, illogical the next. And so what I think is really important here is that we go back to what is in the Constitution. If there is a crime, then that crime, the person guilty of that crime is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. What former Congresswoman Liz Cheney has done here is just done an investigation. And the great irony here, Bianna, is that Republicans are going to use these next 4 years conducting investigations of their own from a congressional perch. But what this all shows, and I think this is the most important point of all and the scariest, is that Trump is okay with jailing his opponents. And to that I say, Mr. President-elect, you cannot do that. America is a great country that does not function like third world countries. We do not jail people for exercising their First Amendment rights, which may not be in line with your opinions.
It's also going to be a country and a government that he's going to have to keep functioning by working alongside Democrats. Though they have the majority in the House and in the Senate, it is by a slim margin, especially in the House. I believe it's just one seat difference between Republicans and Democrats come Trump's inauguration and the new government that'll be sworn in. And the question is, let's take the CR now that it appears we have a deal on the table to avoid a government shutdown on Friday. This is something that has raised a lot of concern among some Republicans. They are not happy with the deal that Speaker Johnson made with Democrats in agreeing to this CR, but it's going to be the reality that whatever speaker is going to be in charge come next year is going to have to face. Do you think that Donald Trump will keep or will support Mike Johnson as Speaker?
I am continually hopeful for the Trump-Johnson relationship. It's been good so far. It's been one that seems to have mutual respect. I wouldn't say admiration entirely, but that respect is important because then Trump can kind of pull back and say, hey, you do your job, which is what essentially our system is designed to do. One branch check the other. If Johnson is going to make a deal with people, then that is his prerogative as the head of that chamber of the legislative branch. And what I see Trump doing right now is obviously he's still not taken the oath. Obviously, he is not in the White House where the loyalists around him can start to fill his brain with other thoughts. So I would just say this, the conservatives who are really mad about the continuing resolution and spending from the federal government, these are the same conservatives that have always screamed about reckless spending. What is going to change now in this next 2 years? That's what I'm looking for. And we frankly have no indication of what is going to change. I think it'll continue to be business as usual because that is what Congress is designed to do, is to essentially stop and fill gaps. And we're just seeing Congress do that more and more. It's not going to change until we see systemic reform with Congress, which hasn't happened. And Trump getting back in office doesn't automatically do that. So I share this to say anybody who's upset about Trump re-entering the White House, there is still tremendous hope that this Congress, though it'll be fully led by Republicans, can still achieve things for the American people and get the work that they're tasked with done.
It'll likely have to do that, and the only way it'll be able to do that successfully is by working across the aisle with their Democratic colleagues as well, which has proven to be quite difficult in the years recently. Rina Shah, thank you so much.
Thank you.